Alright, today we are on 9.4, triangles. And it says triangle is a figure with with three sides and three angles. Remember that. Three sides, three angles. It says the sum of all angles equals 180 degrees. The sum meaning, again, when we add all three of our angles together, completely together, they equal 180 degrees. So when we take angle M, or excuse me, measurement of angle 1 plus measurement of angle 2 plus measurement of angle 3, that will equal a total of 180 degrees. Go ahead and hit pause. You can write that information down, and then we'll go to the next slide. Now when we find the missing angle, okay, you're going to have to find the difference. Okay, we know that when we have two angles, trying to find the third, if we add the two the two measurements that we do know we have together, 43 plus 43, giving me 86 degrees, when we find the difference of that total, that will equal the value of x. So now we simply need to take, since we added those together, we need to take 180 degrees, because we know the grand total added all together will equal 180, and subtract 86 from this. And when we do that, you can see what we end up getting. And again, we get 6 minus 10, or 10 minus 6, and we get 4. And then 17 minus, excuse me, 17 minus 8 gives me 9, so 94. And when we add, again, you can double check this, you can do it many ways, but again, subtracting that, you get your 94. So if you wanted to double check this, you could just simply add the three numbers together, and you'll find out they do equal 180 degrees. Okay, so that's how you find that missing angle. Got to add the two, and then subtract that from 180 degrees to get your difference to find that missing measurement. Now for an acute triangle, that is all the angles are acute, meaning that they are less than 90 degrees. Okay, all three of them have to be. For a right triangle, only one right angle has to be present. So if there's a right angle, then done, it is a right triangle. And the same thing for an obtuse triangle, it only takes one angle to be obtuse, and that's my obtuse angle, greater than 90 degrees. So that's an obtuse. So in other words, if it has one obtuse, done. Don't think that this is an acute because there's two, and saying, oh well, if there's two, more is more than just one, so it's got to be acute. That's not the case. Okay, it only takes one to be obtuse, and it only takes one to be a right triangle. For an acute, all three have to be acute angles. Okay, if you haven't hit pause, go ahead and copy those down, and then we'll move to the next slide. Now for this one, I'm going to let you go ahead and hit pause and copy this down, and then we'll discuss it. So go ahead and do that. Now with this one, we have scalene triangle, which has no congruent sides. These little lines aren't actual measurements, but you can think of them as a measurement, saying this is measurement 1, measurement 2, measurement 3. And you can see how all three are different from each other. An isosceles triangle, at least two congruent sides. You can see that this has one line and that has one line. That means that the two of those are congruent. I'm sure you've probably heard this from other teachers as well, but think of isosceles as in your eyes itself, and that there are two eyes that you have. So think of that. That will help you in remembering what isosceles triangle has. It has two congruent sides because you have two eyes, as in the letter I that it starts with. Okay. And an equilateral triangle has three congruent sides, and again, it's got the word equal in it. Okay, all three sides have to be equal for that to work. Okay? That is helping to classify triangles. So now let's do some of that. And on this last slide, it's going to say to classify each triangle as acute, obtuse, or right, and then classify it as scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. So for this first one, we'll do that together. Acute, obtuse, or right. Again, we're looking, it shows me some degrees to help me in deciding all of this. It only takes one angle to be right or obtuse. So we look at one of the angles and it is greater than 90 degrees, and it is not exactly 90, so it's not a right triangle, but it is greater, so therefore it's obtuse. Okay? Now, classify scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. These lines are going to help you determine that, and since all of them are different, this is a 1, a 2, and a 3, then it is going to be a scalene triangle. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and solve this one. So go ahead and do that, the one that has 60 degrees in each. Now, for this one, when we're trying to classify this by its angles, we can see that they are all 60 degrees, so that they are all the same, and they're all going to be acute. Okay, they're all less than 90 degrees. So since all three of them are, then it is an acute triangle. And we look at these lines, and since they are all ones, that means that they're all congruent. So it is an equilateral. Whoops, spelled it wrong. Equilateral triangle. Okay, and go ahead and hit pause and solve this last one. Now we can see the different degrees, okay, and we have acute, obtuse, or right. Remember, it only takes one to be obtuse. Do I see anything greater than 90? I don't. And is there any of them that are 90 degrees? No. And so they're all acute, so my answer again is acute. And now I'm going to look at what the sides are. And I see that I have two of them that are the same, and so since there are two the same, that is isosceles. So we have an isosceles triangle, and it is an acute. Okay, remember, these right here are according to my angles. These are according to its sides. Okay, so we have angles, and then the scalene, isosceles, and equilateral are towards its sides, the lengths. All right, well, have a great night. And if you have questions, again, please write them down, and we'll discuss them further tomorrow. Have a great day.